Welcome, everyone, to episode 11 of Not Another Wrestling Talk Show. I'm your host, Fog Jones, and filling in today only for the Mass J is Phil. Welcome, Phil. Glad to have you. Thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me. Glad to call in when I'm needed. So thank you for thinking of me.
Like I said, you're my favorite guest. I'm probably going to get in trouble for that.
It's
But
totally fine.
we've also been really good friends for what, 200 years? 300?
Feels like it. Not a day over. Not a day over 500. Not a day over 500.
Love it. Cool. So we have a lot of stuff we're going to talk about. A lot of stuff's been going on, of course, with the return of CM Punk, and there's been a lot of backstage stuff that we can kind of go over. I think what I'd like to dive into first because it's just like a testament to some of the issues that I find with the internet fans. It the Bryan Danielson and CM Punk situation. We
Mhm.
were just talking about that actually, and I think it just rolls up to the common complaint that I always have that negative really rings through, and people tend to misconstrue facts just to make it more negative. And in this
Sure.
case, there was a story that broke, and I think you read a little bit more about it than I did, but basically Bryan Danielson was a part of a disciplinary committee that, from what we are told, was responsible for CM Punk no longer in AEW. Is that correct? That's how you read
That
it?
seems to be the gist of it. And it. You and I both come from professional
Yeah.
workspace backgrounds, and these committees are nothing new. And I must say, if what is being reported or what he's saying about it is true, Bryan Danielson, credit to Tony Khan for having
Yeah.
like the employees as part of the disciplinary committee.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it sounds. I mean, I don't know why people would be maybe because it's him, but I'm not sure
Yeah.
what the disconnect is there that would cause such an issue.
Yeah, it was weird. Just going back briefly to what you were talking about, that there's this disciplinary committee and Tony Khan having the wrestlers kind of be a part of this. Last week, our guest Senia, she had mentioned that uh, the locker room at AEW it's like a democracy.
Oh,
And it's interesting that she mentioned that, and then this came out and it proved what she said, in that when things like this happen, they come together like a family and they do like a family forum in a way, and they have these conversations, which WWE does wrestlers court, which is like lesser known. I know Maven put something out there about that, but it's similar in that regard. So these things are normal, and so they voted Punk out basically. I mean, like, we as fans weren't there. I mean, I wasn't there. I never wrestled with CM Punk. I've never had a conversation with the guy, and so I always take this opinion, like, if you don't know anything, you know nothing, right? Is that
yeah.
is that fair? I mean, what is your take of the situation?
No, I think, well, it's probably there could be some discourse around like people being upset that he was let go. Like talk
Hmm.
about, lightning in a bottle with CM. Like, WWE might have him now, but they didn't have the return. And,
That's true.
and they were like, people are, and we'll talk about him coming back in a minute, but like people might have been more upset that he was let go, regardless of how it was let go, or maybe they felt like that someone like a Bryan Danielson wasn't good enough to make that decision, or we don't
Yeah.
know. I don't think we know how many people are on this council.
Yeah.
Plus, I think people in general don't like the idea of a shadow council. Like, if you for the any college football fans out there, we're recording on the day that the Final Four were announced for the college football playoffs, and there's a lot of people upset because of who was selected, and
Oh yeah. Yeah.
it's essentially
Saw
this
bits of that.
this committee, you know, took a scope and made a decision, much like this committee at AEW. Like they were upset
Yeah.
that I mean, it's not like CM Punk was innocent either. Like I'm
Right.
just
I
like I'm not
mean,
really sure like why like agitation. Like if they were just kicking him out to kick him out, then
yeah, that's one thing.
that's unacceptable.
Yeah.
But it's he had a track record,
Yep.
and I'm willing to bet that a similar track could happen in WWE. I would not bet my mortgage, but I would bet a large, maybe a nice dinner somewhere. But yeah, I just think people don't like that idea of that
Yeah.
group. And like you said, if you don't know all the facts, you know none of the facts. And
Nothing. It's all speculation. And that's the
yeah, it's
thing I'm
all
I'm constantly telling people. And we were talking earlier about, like, because someone on Twitter tried to call me out as like I'm trying to be a journalist, and I responded, I quote tweeted it because I didn't want it dead in a reply. Like I'm probably more anti-journalist than anything because I'm not there, and therefore, no matter who tells me it, unless it's coming from like Tony Khan or Vince McMahon or people within the situation themselves, I just essentially don't believe it, but I'll read it and be like, oh, that's interesting to learn about. But at the end of the
Yeah.
day, like
And
I
you
take
know,
every backstage thing as a grain of salt. And this is a good example. People blew up over this. They're like blaming Danielson, but in reality, there's a committee and
yeah.
there's an order of operations here. It wasn't like you said, it wasn't like Bryan Danielson went out there and was like, all right, CM Punk's fired. Have a great life, you know?
Yeah, he's got to go. Like, and what I think is I don't know if bummer is the right word, but you better believe if you and I were talking to Bryan Danielson right now, we would ask him about this. And people are going to continue to ask him and anyone else
Yeah.
about it. And I granted did not watch his video reaction. I only read the transcript.
Yeah.
But he was talking about he's like, oh yeah, I guess, it was a part of something. And it's kind of like you wish that for something so high profile, maybe Tony Khan or someone, their PR person was like, listen, it's not like, they're talking about like a fake event. And I mean,
Hmm.
like, it's not like it's like a sports team betting it, like purposely throwing games, and you have this whole thing you can't talk about. Like they're talking about professional wrestling. And I wish Tony Khan or someone would have gone to like the group and be like, listen, if anyone asks you about it, just be real. And don't
Yeah.
don't be coy, and just be like, yeah, he was a problem. We took a vote, we voted, he's gone, and that's it. And the good thing about that is that people can see it. Like they can see the CM Punk press conferences. He works with
Oh yeah.
children and all those comments that he makes. And it's
Clearly it
just
wasn't working out. Like it
no,
clearly
like
just wasn't working out for him. And like I see a lot of people that are more like us centered on the issue. They kind of mentioned that WWE is run very differently. And again, Xenia said the same thing. She has friends in AEW. She's part of their media, and she talked about they're more like a democracy, whereas WWE is more of they are the judge and the jury and the executioner. They're, Triple H, for example, if he likes you, he likes you. If he doesn't, he doesn't. And but at the same time, if you're someone out there and you believe all the reports and you believe them exactly as they're reported to you without any confirmation or any factual information behind it, then you also have gotten all the reports of the issues that CM Punk had within that locker room to begin with.
yeah.
So you're kind of at a standstill, in my opinion, and it's more or less like it's just your opinion. Okay, you're sad that he's gone from AEW, or you're happy that he's with WWE. Like whatever, whatever, man. Like it's all at the end of the
I
day,
think I think
it's
I
good.
think he's one of those people you got to enjoy it while it lasts,
Absolutely.
because it is not. And if we to segue into maybe him in general, coming back, like, you and I are both of the fandom where we weren't really there for his, like, because he had one of the longer title runs for like over a year or close to a year as WWE champion. And like when people reacted to him coming, I was watching the replay of Survivor Series, and then it's starting to fade to black, and I'm like, okay, so Randy's back, that's really cool. And then the
That's
music
what I thought
hits,
too.
and the crowd goes wild. Like I saw some people online reacting in a way that they just got the news that they found a match for the kidney they need. Like it was like, and I'm trying to think, like, what in pop culture would I react? Probably something
Yeah.
Star Trek related. Like
Yeah.
if they re-announced like an eighth season of my favorite show, like yeah, I'd probably go crazy. But like I and we were talking about this before we started recording. I'm of the belief, and I'm sure I could be wrong. Like, wrestling has had like the same 3 million fans for like the last 25 years.
Right.
And I would love to see data somewhere of like how many fans are like new or returning.
Yeah.
And because I follow you when you post on X about like viewership,
Hmm.
like it's always like for WWE like 1.5, 1.7, maybe two, but it's like
Yeah, like
it's like
Raw. SmackDown will see a
it's
two-ish, and
yeah,
Raw
like
will see like a 1.3 to 1.5 nowadays.
they're consistent, but they are not growing.
Not in that regard. Yeah.
And I guess merch sales does well enough to, and ticket selling and
But we
stuff,
don't
but
know like 20 years ago merch sales, I don't
that's
think.
very true.
Actually, I don't think we get merch sales at all. They get estimates, or no, it's just a guess. I think it's just a guess based on how many items that a person has on WWE shop, and then if it has that most popular thing. I think that's how that
Sure,
works.
sure.
I'm not sure.
But like with
I'm
his
sorry.
return, he's probably going to sell, and he said it. I guess I think at the end of his Raw promo, I'm not here to make friends. I'm here to make money,
Yeah.
which was just turned into a hilarious
Oh
bit
yeah.
online when
You can
talking about,
send gifs and memes
yeah,
and
working in an
videos all day that
office.
people have workshopped that one.
Oh yeah. But like I wish I'm very happy for people who are thrilled about it, but
Yeah.
I'm like I wish I could share it. Like
Yeah.
what I'm anticipating to happen, down the road, he is certainly, I think they would be super dumb if they made him beat Roman. Like if Roman fell to Punk. Like I think Randy Orton is starting to look like maybe it could be someone. But like maybe Punk and Seth Rollins, like you were talking about like before the show, or they were talking about Stone Cold. Like, boy, what a collision of worlds that would
We'll
be.
get into that. Yeah.
But
I
like,
have so much to say on that.
but I'm anticipating the Punk run to be like 6 months of awesome, and then people get tired of him, and then he leaves. And like, w- do we think his in the last 10 or 15 years he's been doing stuff that maybe his UFC run was his most admirable run? And what I mean by that is that he loses terribly twice, and then I know Dana White was never gonna let him fight again, but like he like calls it a day. Like he sees that he can't do this and he
Yeah.
leaves. But yeah, like I don't. Do you think, like, how long do you think, like, what's the shelf life? Because
I don't
a lot of
know.
people, there's a lot of funny like NFL memes, especially
Mhm.
like when the when a team is doing well, it's like a circle chart. It's like we start the season and we're undefeated, and then we go 5-1, and then the quarterback starts to suck, and then we start to trail off, and then we get a high draft pick, and then we start at the back of the season. Like I feel like that's going to be the CM Punk run. Like everything's great now, everything's
Yeah.
roses, and then someone's going to throw a fit, someone's going to get upset, and then the shine's going to wear off, and then he's gone in a year.
Yeah.
But maybe that's all you need. I don't know. What do you think?
It's tough because WWE tends to do things in a strange manner when it comes to like their titles. As I always say, I complain about, I feel like the product is actually stuck in the mud right now because the big titles are just stuck and they're
Mm,
doing really weird stuff with them. So, like I could see an AEW putting a world title on a CM Punk because of the fact that he was their big star power. And like you said, he was their get. They got CM Punk to come back to wrestling. So I could see that. But like, you know, not to bring up age as a big deal, but age matters in this line of work. Look at Randy
yeah,
Orton, who's young 40s, I think, and he had double fusion back surgery because of RKOing people all the time. And CM Punk and AEW got injured within his first not too long. I think he caught that title and then got injured like immediately after or something like that.
yeah, pretty
So, and he
close,
just
pretty
turned
early.
45. So CM Punk essentially, actually, literally, CM Punk left in his prime and came back out of his prime. So they like, there's that sweet spot. I think it's like 36 to 38 is when they say wrestlers kind of enter into their prime, and then it's like into like 45, something like that. It's like, so depending on who you hear, they'll say like 38 to 45 or something like that. So CM Punk left before his prime and came back after it. So that's, and again, you can watch his matches in AEW to see what he's doing. I'm not saying he's bad. My point is, where I'm going with this is I just don't know like why people are just so obsessed with him just winning the world title. Like,
Yeah,
why do you need that? Like, and I guess the weirdest thing is it comes off hypocritical to me because these are the same people that criticize AEW for their use of older talent, but like I think Jericho was their oldest champion at probably 45,
yeah,
something around that. And then aside from that, like they're all essentially in their mid 30s or whatever, and now MJF isn't even 30. And those people are like fantasy booking CM Punk to pin Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins and unify those belts. It's like he's
oh
going to win
sure.
the Rumble starting at number 0, and he's going to go on to WrestleMania and wrestle 6 matches and beat everyone and capture. It's like ridiculous. Like, where do you stand? And try to be
Do,
consistent, please.
do you think uh do you think the Heat, do you think, see, what the thing about wrestling is that it's a TV show, but it's not a TV show in the way that, like, you know what characters on shows their motives are because that's what the script writers are telling you. But with professional wrestling, like if like two actors on your favorite show didn't like each other, it doesn't matter because it doesn't affect the television show. But like with
I think that's
wrestling,
pretty
like
common too for two actors on a show to not necessarily
yeah,
like
like
each
not
other.
to hate each other, but their
Yeah.
characters might be together or whatever.
Yeah.
But in wrestling, like, do you think that Seth Rollins really does not like CM Punk? Is what see what I hate about the wrestling scene is that you don't know what's real.
Yeah.
And like if like imagine CM Punk comes back and he's the one that takes the belt off Seth. Like if you were Seth Rollins and you hate this frigging guy and he's talking crap about your workplace, the place where you, Seth, has said many times that he's been the workhorse, he's put the work in, he feels like he deserves it. And then to lose it potentially to this guy who was coming back and had so much negative to say and I'm not going to pretend I have never spoken ill of a job that I've left before. And
Yeah.
maybe once in my career, I've really regretted it because I've wanted to go back. And maybe CM Punk has started to feel that way. But like, do you think that the tension that Seth feels towards him is that real? And I could be speaking out of ignorance. I don't know if that's come out or not, but because he seems
Well,
to
the
really
thing,
not like him. Seth seems
Seth
to really not like
Rollins,
CM Punk.
I think Seth's biggest talent, and I'd probably get some hate for this, but if you pay attention, I think you'll agree with me. But I think Seth's biggest talent is blurring the lines. And like one thing I appreciate about pro wrestling is the lines are consistently blurred with like kayfabe and all that. In that sometimes you really don't know what's real and what's fake anymore. Um, it's interesting, but where I'm going with that is Seth Rollins has made comments about Brock Lesnar. He's made comments about Matt Riddle when they were feuding.
Yeah.
He apparently does not like Cody Rhodes. So
Like in real life or like
supposedly, yeah, supposedly
really?
they like legit have a healthy respect for one another, but an unhealthy friendship. They have a dismay for one another. And Seth did interviews where he said it's because he didn't like that this guy's jumping ship from one company to another, and I have to be the one to put him over 3 times in a row, which I can understand. I mean, Seth
Sure, sure.
Rollins deserves a freaking medal, and that's probably why he's the first guy to get that world title and has had it for so long as a thank you. Like, hey, thanks for helping make Cody the star that we wanted him to become. So I don't know.
Well,
When it comes to CM Punk and Seth, I mean, I feel like it's blurred lines. That's just going to turn into business, and maybe in a year when CM Punk's gone, maybe then Seth will do an interview and open up more about it. But then Seth, to me, he comes off as brutally honest. Not a
yeah.
Seth Rollins fan, like organically. Maybe I am organic. I'm not sure. He's never really been my style, my kind of guy. I like him. I respect him. But I started to really like him when I started watching and reading some of his interviews because he just speaks real, like very real. And I really
Sure.
appreciate that. So, but yeah, as far as whether or not that's real, I'm sure it's real. But at the same time, he's probably also thinking there's some money here. My thing is, I just don't see why you'd have Punk beat Rollins because one of the things that I always thought that WWE did fairly well up until now is they tend to put their world titles on people that A deserve it or but also people that it'll help them kind of get to a new level, right? Like Cody, he's probably their top guy, merch guy outside of maybe Roman, and maybe he's, feuding with LA Knight for that spot. But they still haven't put a title on it. The world
Yeah.
title. They still haven't done it. And why? Like, why haven't they done that yet? So if you're not going to put it on Cody or a belt, the world title, why would you put it on Punk? And I just feel like there's so many other people that could really use a title. The belt's not going to do anything for CM Punk, in my opinion. I don't think it's going to move one extra shirt if he wins the title. You know what does that make sense?
No,
Do
it
you
does.
agree,
It does.
disagree?
And I would agree. But to go back to Seth Rollins quickly, the man's going in the Hall of Fame. Like I don't
Hell yeah.
I
First
think
ballot.
I think the Shield is going
Oh
to as
yeah,
well.
absolutely.
So I think the man, if he stopped today, I feel like he'll be one of the most, respected wrestlers,
Absolutely.
for the rest of time. And um, but to CM Punk, like you're right. I don't know what giving him. And see another thing I know, like I know this is probably the first time we're going to disagree. Like the ambiguity around the business is tough sometimes because you're like,
Yeah.
did CM Punk come back? Like he came. let's just put money aside. What's really funny is Kid Rock had a really great quote once. He was like, when someone asks a musician why they do it, they usually say they do it because they love music. But Kid Rock was like, he's like, yeah, of course, we all love the music, but we're really doing it for the money. Like
Yeah.
he thought that was always such a funny thing people would say, like, oh, I love it for the music. No, you're in it to get rich. And oh, sorry, but with CM Punk, like, did he come back? Like, what? Like, I would love to know why he wanted to come back. Like, not because he wanted to finish his story or something, but like, was something behind the scenes? Like, he wanted to be a champion again in WWE. Did he want to make a lot of money? Is he cool with letting like pushing the younger talent? I mean, but who's even younger talent these days? Like pushing any
WWE
talent?
doesn't feature like this, like people talk about. They act like WWE is like nothing but younger. Sure, on NXT, that's their
Yeah,
developmental brand, but look at their top stars on the main roster. It's Mysterio and Lashley and now Punk and
it's the
Seth
same
Rollins been around
15
forever.
guys. And like if
Yeah,
like
Randy Orton.
and look at the rotating door of people who went after Roman. I think LA Knight is the only like one you could call like a not a rookie, but like a newbie, even though he's 40, age aside.
Yeah,
Um, but yeah, with CM Punk, like who, like I would love to know like why he came back, and
yeah,
if he really hated everything, like what about it now, and like what does he hope to get out of it? And it
right.
sucks because you don't want to think like you want your employees to, you know, feel. I mean, there's always the joke about the pizza party, like a CM Punk bringing the pizza party, but like you want them to feel happy to be there.
Yeah,
Well, I would love to know what his end game is and what he wants to do, but I don't think he should just get a belt or because it's not going to be Roman's belt. Like because it can only default to Seth's belt, which really makes that old argument of Seth's belt being the runner-up belt or like
right.
the second place belt more and more accurate because that's the only one really being bounced around. And but then who
They've
knows? I
put
mean,
themselves in a weird spot with that in general, though, being that no one's beat Roman and, like only probably LA Knight's even been propelled from the Roman match. Everyone else has just been shot down from it. But because there's a lot of talk now, like if Cody's gonna face Roman at Mania and win, how does he get there? Do you overbook
right.
him? Possibly overbook him. I'm not gonna say overbook him, but do you overbook him and give him a second Rumble win? And if not, and you give that Rumble to somebody else, how do you justify someone choosing Seth over Roman when WWE has worked their butts off over the past 3 years to make Roman the guy? So,
Yeah.
like, let's say, for example, some of these people online that are just they say be patient when it comes to this guy and that guy and Cody and Knight and Drew and be patient give Gunther the Rumble. Like that's the opposite of that's the most hypocritical thing. If you're giving Gunther the Rumble, don't ever say be patient because Gunther just got here. He's still IC champ. That's a very expedited world title shot. If they're gonna book Gunther like they book everyone else that's gonna get into the world title, he'll get that shot, but he's not winning it. Usually your first shot, you lose it, right? But anyway,
Right.
so I digress.
Plus, he
But
almost just
so
lost to not almost just lost, but he had the fight with the Miz, and that was like it wasn't just 2 second squash match. Like
correct.
you really could have, and the Miz is also a seasoned veteran,
Yeah.
um, also probably Hall of Famer. Like I'd be fine with that,
100%.
100%.
100%.
And
100%.
but like that match took longer than maybe people expected in
Right.
the grand story.
Right.
But the problem is that with the last couple Rumbles it was Drew in 23. Like, of course he's gonna win that. 22, I really didn't like the Brock Lesnar angle coming out after losing the title match, just running
Yeah.
rough shot on the thing. Like that was super dumb. And then 21 was Edge, which again was semi-predictable in my opinion. He had just came back.
Agreed.
And then 20 was Drew, which was probably like the last one that was like really like of
That
the
was a
last
great
couple.
Rumble. And
Yeah,
I'm
great
not just
Rumble.
saying that because I was a Drew fan. It was
Yeah.
very well done.
And like
Like
it
I,
made
I was
sense for
so
him
happy to see
to,
Brock doing his thing out there for
oh
that
yeah.
Rumble. But I agreed. And Brock, if you know me, you know Brock's my guy, all time favorite, Brock Lesnar. But I didn't like his sequence of matches with Roman. I thought their one at SummerSlam was fine. I thought the WrestleMania match was absolutely horrible. And I really didn't like what you just said. I feel like there was your chance to just run like Drew and Roman and like
Yeah.
give Drew the win there and then have Roman beat him in a couple months, whatever. But like that's what I'm saying is I feel like the product's just been at a standstill. It's been super predictable in so many ways. And but yeah, so back to what I was saying earlier, like you have Drew or sorry, you have Gunther win it or someone, whoever. You name the person, have them win the Rumble. Braun Breaker, Trick Williams, Carmelo, you name the person. Akira Tozawa, R-Truth, they win the Rumble. Why would you not challenge Roman? That's just going to basically be like saying, "Oh, I don't think I can beat him." So
Right.
that's why I say they've booked themselves in this really hard spot now because the Royal Rumble winner has to basically pick Roman or they look weak. But then is it going to be Cody and then you're possibly overbooking Cody? And then it's like you can't have Cody come in at number 30, but then if you put him at 1 and he wins again, is that overbooking him or is that him working? I'm very interested and that's why I say I just really feel like they booked themselves in a corner here. But what do you think about that? So someone wins the Rumble, not named Cody, they don't pick Roman, they pick Seth or whoever's the champ at that time.
I think I
Or
you know I
they just
think
go with Cody.
I think we're forgetting, not forgetting, but I think we're leaving out the money in the bank aspect of this. And what I mean by that
Oh,
is
Damien.
that there have been several, like it would have been really awful but cool if you had the match within the match in the war games.
Yeah. How
Like
is that going to work?
Priest cashes in and then he somehow gets the belt. And I really think, and admittedly, I've not followed every Money in the Bank winner and how they've cashed things in, and um or like followed like the sequence of events closely enough to make this judgment. But I have really loved what they've done with him and the briefcase. And like every time he comes out with that briefcase, it's not like, oh, Austin Theory didn't, when he won it, it was kind of like a joke, like I think Brock speared him one time or whatever. Um, but like you like I think there's every time Damon Priest comes out with that friggin' briefcase, you think this could be it.
Yeah, they've done
Um,
a great job with his
100%.
folding of it. You just
So,
don't know what's going to happen. Like you
so this
said,
is
what
yeah.
does that do? Would that have turned that War Games match into a 10-person threat?
That's a great
Because
question.
like
I
if
don't
it's
know.
two people and then Seth came out with Brock and Roman, it turned into a triple threat. So does the War Games match change entirely?
That's
And
a
then
great
instead
question.
of it being first pin team wins, first pin is the champ. Did they
You
even
know,
think about that? You know what I'm
they
saying? I
probably,
wonder.
I would assume, I would, and this is speculation, that they would keep him to one ring and they would have thrown everyone else out and then they would have had just like watch, or maybe make it like a lumberjack match where
Maybe.
they couldn't escape. But it was just like, so like, what does that do? So I agree with you. Like, I cannot imagine like if we were really wrestlers and we were in this, like Roman, no one gets to Roman. Like there,
Yeah.
it's like the VIP part of the club. Like you need special access to get into it.
Yep. Yeah, go ahead.
I was
The
just saying, like
Rumble.
with the Rumble and the briefcase, like it would be. I agree with your point that you got to go after Roman, and I don't know if they would do anything. I feel like the briefcase, again, I don't remember all of them, but them not cashing it in at a premium live event seems like super rare. Like I don't know if Priest is
Yeah.
going to do it on a
Biggie.
random
I think
SmackDown.
Biggie was the last one to do that.
Okay, so that wasn't super long ago, but the yeah, so it's like, what are they going to do with that belt? Are they going to do anything with it before WrestleMania? And I think, that's a problem you have. Maybe not problems is the right word, but tying the chance to go for a belt. Like the Rumble should just be, you get, like they just pick the title. Like this is the one you go for.
And then the
And,
Chamber be the other one.
oh, that's even great. I didn't even think of that. Like, yeah, make one pay-per-view, one live event for one belt and one for the other, because you're making it clear that they're both equal but separate. And why would you, go for one or the other? But no, that's so good there. No, I don't know. But then I can't, who could win it that's not named LA Knight, Cody Rhodes, I guess Drew. Who
Yeah,
are some of I
I
don't think
think
any,
those three are the only ones that are really in a position now to where I think makes sense to
yeah.
win a world title from Seth or Roman, unless you pull a Braun Breaker and if they think the rocket on him is the right idea, then they could just have him show up. That's his first main roster appearance in the Rumble. He wins it. But again, then the question is, do you really take a guy out of NXT? and just give him the title,
Right.
no test. Because, like I said, traditionally, you have your first world title match and you lose it because they have to test you. I want to say Drew is one of the few guys in the last many, many years who their very first shot at a world title, I think Kurt Angle won his too, but that was a long time ago. And Brock, again, very long time ago. But how many guys get their very first title match and win? It's
What
very
was it?
tough.
Was that when he was part of the three-man band?
Oh God.
What would you think? I've asked you this question the last 2 years, and I have no factual evidence to back this up, nor do I think this is a prediction. But what are the chances that Dwayne The Rock Johnson is number 30 and finally comes in to retake his throne as head of the bloodline? And I say that with tongue in cheek. Of course, it's not going to happen. But
Right.
like, I think, I mean, especially depending on where they go with the bloodline story, it's going to end eventually. And I think, we spoke about it last time I was on this. I couldn't imagine Roman winning at WrestleMania 40. I think he wants the time off. The man wants a break. He wants to consider Hollywood. I
Yeah.
think whoever it is, again, back to my mortgage thing. Like I wouldn't bet my mortgage, but I would bet a lot of money that Roman finally loses at WrestleMania 40. But
Yeah.
like, who is left? And I think from a story point, I think it's got to be Cody.
Kind of. It's got to be in from a story point. It's got to be Cody or Drew, because Drew probably has the most history with Roman in a one-on-one, and I think he's never beat Roman. Well, Seth has the story too, but we won't consider him because he's got that title
Right.
right now. But Seth and Roman have the most story, and then second place would probably be Drew. Cody's story, I don't think has anything to do with Roman; it just has to do with the belt.
That's a
But
great point. That's a great point.
if it were me, to be honest with you, I'd pick Cody or Drew. I would have a hard time not being super biased and just picking Drew, and then I mean, because Cody can win it whenever.
Yeah.
Um, then again, Drew could win it whenever. I don't think I care, but I just don't think it. I think they need to pull that trigger on Cody at some point, because at what point is he
100%.
just stuck in the mud and just like,
With
cool, he's,
Shinsuke Nakamura all of a sudden,
yeah,
like,
like he,
you
he's just
know,
hot baby face, but we're just never gonna put that. He's just walking around titleless, just
I
selling
think
all
he'd be a great
over.
champion. I think
I
Cody
think
like
so
coming in,
too.
I would be super awesome. I think Cody would be great. I think Drew would be great. I
Yeah,
still think LA Knight would be great. I
oh,
do think
absolutely. You got to get
I
a world title on LA Knight.
I could see LA Knight facing Logan Paul for the United States champion and becoming
Yeah, that's
that
a rumor.
champion. Um, but what if they pull a 2022 and like Seth loses his belt? Like
Yeah,
maybe he gets cashed in. He has a match at Royal Rumble. Priest cashes in, wins, and then enters the Rumble and maybe in Priest's spot and wins it, and then goes with Roman. I mean, what I will say, as frustrating as this sounds, I love all of this intrigue.
yeah.
But then just to wait,
WWE's not gonna put that much thought into
yeah, like just to wait
it.
until the end of
Yeah,
January
yeah,
to hear something Cody Rhodes at the
yeah,
Royal Rumble. Like, boy, I mean, you never know. That's why I love. This is why that it's my favorite event. Like, because you never
yeah.
know who's going to show up, and you never know who's going to. I mean, you kind of know who's going to win, but like that Brock thing again. Not to keep harping on it. In 22, I did not see that coming at all. Of course, as soon as he
Didn't like it
entered,
either, did you?
no, I hated it.
That
Hated
wasn't a
it.
good surprise in my
What
opinion.
a
That was
a
pretty lame.
waste. You only get it's like people talk about professional sports coaching positions. Like in the NFL, there's only 32 of these in the entire world. Like the Royal Rumble, do you know what number this is coming up? Like probably like in the 30s somewhere.
I
But
would
there's
say
only been
between high 20s to
yeah,
young 30s, maybe 31.
they only do 30 something of these. There's only been 30 something of these, and the person who wins it has to be mission critical, in my opinion. Like when Shinsuke won, I felt like that was wasted. Like even when Ray won, like that was, I guess, a great story, but that seemed like a way. Like it's tough because there's so many ways to waste it. And even Edge in 21 seemed really unnecessary.
I agree
Seemed
with that. I didn't really like that.
unnecessary, but
Unless he was gonna win, if you're trying to give him this send off, not send
oh
off, but like
yeah,
trying to give
yeah,
him like, hey, he's back. Let's give him a world title. But again, they didn't do it for Edge. Why would they do it for Punk?
yeah.
Say it's because Punk's bigger, because apparently that doesn't like the bigger you are, the less you need a title. Undertaker rarely had a lot of titles. Kane had like two world titles. Stone Cold wasn't a long-term title holder. Um, yeah. And speaking of Stone Cold, there's now rumor. So I said a while ago that I think fans get really worked up over something that's either like a false report or like something that's probably just not true. And it's like a lot of these people nowadays, these big name like backstage leakers, dirt sheets, whatever you want to call them, reporting sites, they'll put stories out there that seem more like speculation, like they're just tying knots together and just putting two and two together and saying, well, this seems like it's going to happen, or this seems like this is what happened because of it. But they put it out there like they just know and they got some intel, but it's like you just kind of put some two things together and came up
Sure,
with a
yeah.
story. But and that goes to the whole Seth Punk. Everyone's like, oh, it's going to be Seth and Punk at WrestleMania. It's like, why is it going to be that? And why does it have to be that?
Well,
And
because it's obvious, bro.
yeah, yeah, because Punk's back.
Yeah.
Be patient. But there's also so that came out like immediately, like the next day after Survivor. It was like, oh, Punk and Seth Rollins. Yeah, you can throw that out there because that they had that conversation internally. They did. They were like, all right, who are we going to have Punk feud with? And who's Seth Rollins? Oh, we could do these two. Like, obviously, they talked about that, but that doesn't mean
Yeah.
that's the plan.
No, of course.
But after that report came out, it very quickly turned into Punk's possibly facing Stone Cold at WrestleMania. And my question is this, like, I asked online, like, do you really want to see that? And people said, yeah. And then I thought to myself, are they just trying to hold on to the hope that it's 15 years ago Stone Cold and 10 years ago CM Punk? Do you really want to see CM Punk, who was injured, like in a basic wrestling match, at 45, again, out of his prime, versus 58-year-old Stone Cold, who, I'm sorry, I love Stone Cold. I mean, but his match with Kevin, it was hard for me to watch because I was
Yeah,
just
sure.
nervous that his knees were going to blow out or something. It was hard to watch. You could see it. Like, this isn't my opinion. You can see him laboring in his steps. And like, even he looked concerned to throw a kick at Kevin Owens. And that's why they did the match that they did, where it was a no DQ style match. There wasn't a lot of bumps, so to speak. But like, what do you think about that?
I think, well, to back up slightly, I do believe I've heard discussion or rumor that that they wanted to bring Stone Cold back a little more. Like I don't think the concept is not that you're saying this. I don't think the concept is necessarily out of left field.
Yeah.
I mean, if you replace Stone Cold with like Triple H, I'd be like, what? No way. Like, no way. Like that would actually, now that I say that, could make a lot of sense. But Triple H is retired. But with Stone Cold, I know they wanted to, either it was him or someone wanted to bring it back. And maybe someone like CM Punk would be his speed because they're two older guys. Not that Kevin is I manhandled Stone Cold or anything, but I would I love to see it. I want to see the question. See, the problem is that when people say that, are they answering the question? Did they want to see CM Punk and Stone Cold face each other, or are they answering the question, do I want to see Stone Cold come back again? And that's where my heart would lie. Like I would love to see the rattlesnake come in there and even in story, like just kick the crap out of him and like whip him into shape. It could be tough. It could be real tough. I mean, like I really hope the Undertaker never comes back. Like he's shot,
Right.
But Stone Cold, I think he's just okay enough to do something for like 15 or 20 minutes and then go from there. It wouldn't be for a belt or nothing. It'd be some sort of grudge. But would I like to see it? I want to see Stone Cold more. So I don't know if I'd like to see that match, but I would really like to see Stone Cold again. But everything you said about him and his abilities and his body is 100% true, 100% accurate. And that's where it's tough, because and who wants that? Like you said, the thing about wrestling is probably like I'm sure every rumor, much like rumors in general, have some truth to them. And when you ask like, oh, they talked about it, like you could probably go to Triple H right now and be like, yeah, we thought about it, sure. Like next question, like there was like there's nothing else there. Like yeah, like this would be really cool. Like if we had a fantasy booking, um, but it's tough because, and then it goes back to that point about like what's the point? Like where like is it the ticket sales? Is it the money? Like
Yeah.
whose career is being further enhanced? Like Stone Cold when he came back to fight Kevin, I kind of wish it was someone else. Like Kevin Owens, I don't really know if I like. Hot take,
Yeah.
but like it was
Not a big
in
kick.
it was in Texas. The location made sense. The area made sense. Like all that made sense. But like, isn't WrestleMania in Philly this year?
Yeah.
Like if it was in Chicago,
Right.
that would make a whole lot of sense. But I don't know, man. That's a tough one. Like I want to see Stone Cold again. CM Punk, like I'm really happy for all the fans, but I just don't care about the man.
I don't get it. Yeah, I don't
Um,
get it.
and I really, again, to go back to being working professionals, I really hate toxic individuals in work environments. And if those stories are true, like Drew storming out or Seth being really
Yeah.
hating him, like I totally get it, man.
Yeah.
And it's so a very long answer to your question. I would love to see Stone Cold again, but I don't know if I would want to see that match in
Yeah.
particular. You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Yeah, you bring up a good point. And like I said, I always just find it interesting. Like your opinion is your opinion. And if you stick to that, that's totally fine. But people just get out there and they just say all this stuff about like, oh, putting over younger talent and oh, they're not putting over younger talent. But then like a CM Punk comes back who and they're like, oh, he's got to win a world title tomorrow. It's like you don't have to be that way. You can just go out there
Right.
and say, hey, I'd like to see CM Punk win a world title. Okay, cool. Like, sure. I'd like
Plus,
$10 million deposited in my account.
who is this mysterious younger talent?
That's
Like,
another thing too, is like I don't see anyone really positioned in this moment to be like the future. I mean, someone could argue it's Grayson Waller and Austin Theory, but like two guys gonna run the company in 10 years.
do you like them? Like I don't I'm so indifferent.
That's
Like I feel
another
like
thing too, is I don't know that they're as over as people want them to be. Austin
yeah,
Theory literally like beating John Cena was almost the worst thing for his
it's
career.
such a drop off. Like a
Right. Like it
crazy
was a
drop.
terrible thing
Now
for
he's
his
playing
career.
second fiddle to the Grayson
The
Waller effect.
Grayson Waller. So it's clearly not working. And so
Yeah.
is he miscast? Obviously. Usually when it's not working, either you don't have it or you're miscast. And I think he's miscast at the moment. So I thought they were on a good streak with him when Triple H first took over. They let him grow in his little stubble. I
Yeah.
thought they got rid of the selfie gimmick. I thought things were going well for him, and I like
Yeah.
him. I'm somewhat of an Austin Theory fan, if I'm being honest. Um, Grayson Waller's okay, but again, like who else? Dragon Lee, like is he the future? Santos, okay, but like maybe not because we don't know what they're moving. Okay, Braun Breaker is probably the future of WWE, but he's not even on the main roster.
Right.
No one's putting him over. He's
And
putting other people over right now on NXT. So it's like I'm not knocking what they're doing, but I'm just saying like there really isn't much going on. There really, WWE is heavily focused right now around older talent. Even LA Knight, who is great, and I totally think he should be propelled to a world title scene. He's 40 years old, like you just said.
yeah.
Punk just turned 45. Cody Rhodes, upper 30s, not bad. Drew, upper 30s, not bad. Roman, upper 30s. But we're not how many 20 something year olds are really on fire right now? Logan Paul, like, you know what
Right.
I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
he's
And
your youngest guy, and he's not a long-term WWE guy. He'll probably never be full-time. He's 28.
yeah.
I doubt he ever goes full-time, and I don't see it even then. I don't see him 10 years from now doing this, you know?
God, talk about it. Talk about a guy who blossomed out of controversy, Logan Paul. Do you know all his backstory, right?
I don't know anything about his backstory.
Oh my God, I'm gonna give you a 30-second Logan Paul thing real quick. So, huge YouTuber.
Yeah.
Maverick was his clothing brand and everything, and now he has Prime.
Okay.
He was like your cliche doofus online, got a lot of money, a lot of views, all this stuff. He goes to Japan, and he does vlogs from there. And the first couple is like he dressed up as a Pokemon and all this stuff. He goes to the forest, the suicide forest. And for those who don't know, I don't want to speak deeply about it because I don't know about it 100% myself, but the forest itself is like, a place where a lot of people go to end their lives. And he goes to this forest and he finds someone who died and almost records the person. Like he like pans over it and you can see the person. And he didn't treat it like a joke necessarily, but it was incredibly inappropriate, a huge mistake. So then
Yeah.
he releases the video. It comes out. Everyone's freaking out at him. He puts like a little like he does a screenshot of a notes in on his iPhone apologizing, completely missing the point, and then has to go on. He starts losing sponsors. It's like a whole snowball, and you think his career's over, and then he pivots quickly to boxing. That's when he started boxing
Wow.
to break away from that whole controversy. And no one remembers that. And like
That's crazy.
not and it's not like Logan Paul like did he was an idiot. He was an inconsiderate ass.
Like
But he
immature.
yeah, and he didn't like do like anything like physically wrong, but like he almost his career is almost over. And now here he is, United States champion. Just
It's
so
so weird.
crazy.
I
And but
talked
he
to
is a
Jay.
part but your point, he is a part-timer.
Yeah,
And
forever,
he's
forever part timer.
oh, for sure. This is not his future.
No, I talked to Mass Jay about this a lot too with different topics. I'm always like, people get really high up on. I hate to use this word because it tends to be identified separately and whatever, but like to cancel people or whatever. And it's like, if you did that and you were to look at everyone's past, I guess my point is you should be playing equally, fairly. If you're going to
Mm-hmm.
do that to this person, you should do it to everyone. Everyone should be treated equally. I think I'm big on people treated equally, but yeah, you have a good point. And there's a lot of that, but you hear people like selecting people that they want gone, and Logan Paul is not one of those people that really you have a large uprising and people like, oh, he said this, let's get rid of
Yeah.
him. But they'll do it to other people like uh,
I
I don't want to get on it, but like Ric Flair, like we don't have to talk about that because
oh
whatever. But
yeah.
like,
Well,
you got to
no,
be
that I mean,
selective if you're going to
mm.
do that. You have to be consistent and equal.
I think I agree. I agree with the idea of I agree with the idea of consistency, but when it's the same thing. So
Yeah,
like
right.
so like if like Matt Riddle and his domestic problems, like you got and Ric Flair, ugh, like boy, that's a tough one. That's a tough one. Like
Oof,
I
I
like
know.
talk
I like
about
talking about it, but yes,
talk
exactly.
about over reliance on older talent, but
Mm.
but no, I can understand wanting to be treated equally when the thing is the same for sure.
Or similar, because it's never going to be exactly the same, but
No, of
like
course, but no, but it's
CM Punk and Logan Paul are, not really similar, but at the same time, they have controversy that follows them that could make you determine from what you've heard
yeah.
that they're a bad person or whatever.
No, but it's tough. And like, but then, now that we just said all that, I could see Logan Paul going out there and winning the Rumble. Just because Triple H is like, screw it. Like, let's what he's earned it. Like Triple H, he says that too much. You earn it. Like as
I
if
don't
Triple H
believe that. I
is
don't
not
believe that.
is not the wait, which part? The earning it part or
Yeah, I don't think that that's all true. I think there's a lot of other stuff that's going on. I mean, you earn it to a degree, right? Like
sure.
they're not gonna give Grayson Waller the Royal Rumble,
Of
right?
course, of course.
But I'm saying like it's so stale right now. Like if that were the case, Cody should have won last year, which I still think he should have won at last year's WrestleMania. We could have done so much since then. We could have moved
Oh my
on with our
God.
lives.
That was the perfect
Roman could have
moment.
won the belt back if he needed it. It's just like the belt's on him to be on him at this point. It's just like lame. Gunther could have lost it already. Should have lost it to Sheamus, in my opinion. Maybe that's what they do. I said on Twitter, and I stand by this. I think it would be cool if Sheamus won the Royal Rumble. And this will solve all those problems, by the way. The whole why wouldn't you challenge Roman Reigns? Sheamus doesn't need a single world title anymore. He literally has to fulfill his career by winning the Intercontinental Championship. So give Sheamus the Royal Rumble and have him challenge Gunther and win.
So they
And
can
then
do that. It's
Grand
any
Slam.
belt, right?
I guess so. I mean, they did it with Money in the Bank, right? They had Austin Theory cash in on United States Championship.
That's right. That's
That
right.
makes you look bad when you cash in on a lesser title when you should have gone for a world. That wasn't. People who justify it are they're digging. They're digging to justify it. You're just coming up with your own story in your head to justify it, and that's fine. But Sheamus is kind of the only thing that would really make sense for someone not named Cody Rhodes or whoever's going to face Roman. If they're not going to have the Rumble winner facing Roman, it's just going to look bad.
Yeah,
Unless it's Sheamus going for Gunther.
that's a good one. We'll see. Cut the check.
There it is. Thank you. I'll take my check now. But let's wrap it up here. Good
Sure.
conversation. We'll see you again soon. I'm gonna send you the list and we'll get you back on again. Um, yeah, it was good chatting with you.
No, thank you so much. Thank you. I needed no hot takes today. I needed a little time to recharge and think of a couple more. But next time they're gonna come in hot.
Same,
Coming hot.
same. And we'll get Canvas Clash going again where I have you choosing between two different wrestlers.
Absolutely. Thank you, sir.
Yes, thank you.